question number one is, can you tell me about the first time you fell in love? How did you know you were in love? And how did you feel about it?
Ooh. So when we say fall in love, we're talking about when you're in primary school?
Like, no, so I mean like generally.
Oh, you feel like you
like the
believe
first, yeah, like.
I guess for me, ooh, oh, my missus doesn't see this, current wife. I think it was when I was in, I deemed it to be love, but when I look back on it, it was more lust and infatuation. But for the sake of the question, so when I was like in year 9, year 10, started going out with a particular girl. I guess I felt like, I don't know, I just had that like buzzy feeling inside of me and all that stuff. I know it sounds a bit cliche, but that's how I generally felt at that time. I'm trying to take my mind back to when I was in school. But again, you don't really know what love is. You know what you think love's going to be. I'm thinking like, we're going to get married, we're going to have kids, X, Y, Z. Obviously, my mom and dad, well, obviously, but my mom and dad are married and still are married by the grace of God. So
wow, thank God.
I guess seeing that subconsciously in my head, I'm like, you know what, I wanted to have a wife. But even back in I always wanted to have baby mothers from every different nationality. Sounds weird, but it made sense. You know what I mean? But in terms of that, like just in school, like we was almost together for quite a lot. Like even stopped chilling with some of the man them in school.
It happens.
I was so infatuated with this girl. Like literally, she would follow me everywhere. I'd follow her everywhere. Then came to GCSE's done. Then obviously went to college now, and then it's like we both went to different colleges. And it didn't really work out because she was trying to go on a different path, which I later, if I look back on it, I respect it because she's trying to go down this celibacy path, which I respect that now when I look back on it. But I was like, I'm a young boy, I just want to be living my life. Yeah. I was like, I can't really, flex like that. So when I think back on it, I know obviously it broke her heart at the time for me having that response. Yeah, but in a way, it kind of made me a better person in the long run. If that makes sense.
You kept it real, so
yeah.
Cool. I suppose to answer that question back, it would be similar to yourself when I was in school. I think there's that element of a lot of lust and infatuation and that burning passion, especially when you want to lose your body in it. She was in, I think she joined my school in year 9. And I felt like, I was proper in love with this girl. But similar, like once I left secondary school, because I went to America to like play basketball on a part scholarship. So we went different parts. She's like, this long distance relationship thing isn't going to work. But I would say I loved her. I'll say that's the first time I was in love. I don't know, because it's hard to answer that, because as I've grown older, my perception of what real love is has changed. So to call that love at the time, based on how much information about love that I had, yes, it was love to me. But as I've grown older, I can't say it was love. I say I deeply cared about her. Yeah. Probably my first love was in college, and because I say it was love on my part, but it wasn't reciprocated. Ooh. Yeah, so, and I was deceived to thinking it was. So, and when you have that first experience, and it's the sweetest, but it also can be the worst as well. Because when all the exposure came out, it's just like.
So how did you find out that it weren't reciprocal?
Is
it one of those ones?
I ain't gonna put that on.
I can't let my heart. When you tell that, my heart.
It's one of them scenarios.
We leave it at that.
She violated still, but could have said it in some ways.
That song.
You know what?
A lot of man.
Yeah, so that was my experience. It felt amazing. To wrap up the question, it felt amazing. I mean, it's something that consumes your whole body, like you said, without sounding cliche. You're constantly thinking about that person. You constantly want to be with that person. 5-day pass, I'm on the phone to that person all the time, sort of thing. Like, it was literally.
I remember in college, I was cheating codes. I was finding different codes for 5 days.
Yeah, you had to, man. But it was literally like that. Constantly just want to speak to that person, falling asleep on the phone. That sort of
Jenny
thing.
Francis in the background.
Vibes and that. But that was me. My first time in love.
Okay. Can you tell me about the last time you cried, and what about?
Okay. So the last time I cried was on my wedding day, for obvious reasons, but more so my wedding night. So I'd gone back to Nigeria to do our traditional. First time I'm going back to Nigeria in 22 years. Wow. Family haven't seen me since I was like knee high. And we fled Nigeria to come over here to seek asylum. So going back, it was like proper nostalgic in some senses, because I went back to certain places and I recognized them. But what hurt the most was it was my wedding day. Yes, my dad couldn't be there because that's part of the reason why we left Nigeria. But I have an older sister and we'd been separated when we left because she had a different mum. Whereas me and my brother, we have the same mum and we've all got the same dad. And she wasn't in Nigeria. I've had no contact with my older sister for years. Didn't know where she was, didn't know where to start. I heard she had a baby, heard the baby died so much. Wow. And her mum was estranged to my mum, like they didn't know each other. So I cried because it was a beautiful day, obviously, and I was like, God, I came back here to honor like my tradition, to honor you, honor my family, and like my sister's not here. Like I was like, wherever she is, and I've obviously prayed and cried about this like several times in the past, but I got on my knees with my wife, and it was the sort of crying where like my whole body wept. That's awesome. And I prayed, like I've prayed, cried out to God, and lo and behold, within less than a month of getting back to London, someone bumped into my mum at the airport. That was my dad's old friend who still talks to my dad's family, and she's been keeping contact with my dad's family because of us two. And I found out that she lives in Italy. I went to visit her over the summer holiday. Actually, I've got a nephew and a niece. So yeah, that was the first time I cried, and like, or the last time I cried, should I say? And I just thank God that He heard my cry, really.
Wow. Yeah. It says in the Word of God that a fervent prayer availeth much. So that's amazing, man. God heard your cry, man. That's deep. Man.
That is deep. What about yourself?
Yeah, you know what? It's so funny that you said when you got married, because literally, I actually didn't cry on my wedding day, but I cried the day after my wedding day.
Oh, okay.
So we was in church, obviously got a blessing from our pastor.
Yeah.
Even though surely obviously conducted the ceremony and service, but that's just how we do it in our church. So gave a testimony before the church, and then all the emotions just came rushing to me, literally. And just, you know, you get a frog in your throat. It's just mad. You think about how everything came to place. Like it was nuts. Like literally, they say you got to plan a wedding in 2-3 years, but we kind of done it in a year. It was so mad. Like literally, when we said we were gonna do it, we were gonna just proper do it. And there's this way financial blessings were coming our way, left, right, and centre. Whereby when I explain to people, they're like, that don't make no sense.
It can only be.
I found him saying, "Well, here's 5 bills." I manned him saying, "Here's a bag." I'm like, what? Like, obviously, I got a new job, got a promotion as well, just in time. So obviously, financially, clocking up. So it's mad. So just thinking about everything, and it's like literally just looking at the progress me and my wife made from when we first started going out to when she got saved. Then she brought me to church, and then obviously the men that were already in the church kept me there. Then I gave my life to Christ, and there's all these things. So just almost standing there in front of everyone in church and in front of my family and my church family, just kind of just brought the emotions. It was just, yeah, man. I don't know. It felt good to cry. I was crying for long, literally. Tears just flowing. Yeah. And obviously, like, no one see you cry like. So everyone's like, "Oh, big man, like Ejay cried," you know. It's mad. But for me, I was like, you know what? It felt good to let it all out. You know what I mean? And yeah, I think there's nothing wrong as a man crying. There's nothing wrong
definitely not.
It doesn't make you less of a man. It doesn't like demean who you are. Like, it's almost a good thing to let that emotion out. So
yeah, definitely. And I think it's good that you addressed that, because a lot of men think that crying is a sign of weakness or etc.
But then you'd be surprised by how many men cry behind closed doors.
Yeah.
So it's like, you do it behind closed doors, just be free to let it out. It doesn't make you less of a person, do you know what I mean? So true.
Okay, so what does be a man mean to you, and how does it compare with society's definition?
What does being a man mean to me? I guess for me, just hearing things I've heard growing up, you can either choose to accept certain things or reject certain things. So the things I've accepted is to be a man is to be your own person. And what you find in the media, they throw so many things at you that a man needs to be this, a man needs to be that, a man needs to obtain this, achieve that by X amount of age, or accumulate X amount of money or wealth to be deemed a man. But I think for me, being able to just have a mind of your own, being able to say, I am this person and I am who God's made me to be. I think just having a confidence about yourself that you don't feel that you need justification from someone else to feel like, okay, this defines who I am. no, you don't need none of that. You just need to know that you are you. Like in terms of like being a man, I guess it's. I don't know. I feel like this. It might sound a bit weird, but it's like almost like an onion. There's so many layers to it,
Yeah.
you know. And I feel like there's no manual or script to what it actually means to be a man. It's almost being yourself.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. I'll put that to being yourself, I guess. But I say being a man in a relationship, you have to lead. You know, you have to be the head and not the tail, so to speak. You have to be decisive. You have to think on your feet. You need to be able to take setbacks, but when taking them setbacks, making sure you set yourself up for that comeback. You know, it's like they say if you get knocked down 7 times, you get up 8 times. You know, I think just being an example, that is what it means to be a man. I guess in the word, I know I've mentioned God a few times, but man was created first. You know what I mean? So I feel that man has to lead. You know, I'm not saying hide your emotions, but as we discussed, obviously being emotional. But I'll definitely say just being you and being comfortable in your skin. You know.
Similar views there with you about being a man, and especially with what you said about society and how the media paints this perception of what we should be or what we should have attained by a certain age, and I think there is a lot of expectation on men, and in some senses rightly so, especially if you're the head. In any form of leadership, there's going to be expectation, and I think when I think about being a man, I sort of think about acronyms quite a lot. I like to use them quite a lot. So I think of like 3 P's, like you're a protector, you're a provider, and you're a preserver. And my own sort of, I'd probably place more emphasis on being a preserver because there's so much emphasis already on being a protector and a provider. You've got to be strong, secure, this and that. And by a preserver, I mean there's a responsibility. Like if you have to preserve something, that means you're responsible for it. And I think as men, especially more so in the black community, because that's where we originate from, there is a lack of stepping up to our responsibility. There's a lack of acknowledging your responsibility or feeling like blaming your shortcomings or circumstance for why you can't fulfill this responsibility. And being a married man as well, I'm going to put a spin on it and say like there's a lot of responsibility that's on a man in the actual home. Definitely. That isn't just on the woman. I think back to like the Bible, like at the start God creates man, he creates Adam, puts him in the garden, and Adam is responsible for the garden. He's responsible for watering it, feeding it, looking after the animals. He's responsible for feeding himself. There's no woman at that point. And I think there's this perception that once you have a woman, she sort of takes on a lot of responsibility, like she's meant to do a lot of things, and that's the explanation, because she's a woman, that's why I don't need to know how to cook, or I don't need to know how to do the laundry.
So this is sorry, I know it's your term, but this it's cool. Rubs me the wrong way because it says the woman's the helpmate, not your slave, your helpmate.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like with me and my wife, like obviously she cooks majority of the time, but I'll cook maybe 2 days in a week just to alleviate her workload. Because at the end of the day, it's not about saying that she's got to cater to me solely. That's my wife got to cater to her as well. There needs to be a fine line or a fine balance. You didn't marry your wife so she becomes your
slave,
like your PA. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. So exactly. So it's just that responsibility. I feel like being a man is about being responsible. You're meant to preserve like what God has given you, and protect it as well and provide. Be it whether it's your wife if you have one, or a girlfriend, or your family, like whatever. Like God, if it's a gift, a talent, even like you're responsible for that, and you're going to be accountable at the end. So that's what being a man is for me. It's not just about providing and protecting. It's also about preservation and preservation of yourself as a man as well. Self-preservation is important.
Who did you look up to as examples of being a man growing up?
So growing up, single parent mother, just me, her, and my brother. We didn't have a father figure in the house. Like my dad died too young for him to have had an impact per se, or remember much about him. So I've been fortunate because God has brought men into my life at different stages, through different things. So started playing basketball from year 7, and my coach was essentially a guy like myself now, grew up in the ends. have lived that experience, but now you're back in the education system, trying to give back to the young ones. And he was doing it through basketball, and he was just so militant. Taught us stuff like discipline, respect, also how to preserve and protect ourselves on roads as well. Like, it was more than just going after school club for basketball, and it was tough, vigorous, almost military sometimes type training.
Tough love.
But it done a lot for us, and a lot of the men even till this very day say that if it hadn't, even though we didn't go nowhere like with basketball per se, like he still installed within us like characteristics that have really helped us like throughout the hard period that we've gone through. And it's funny because it started with basketball, but it was so much more than that. And even more so along the way, I've had other men, like men of God, that have come into my life, mentors. One of the most impressionable person that's come into my life was a guy called Chris Owens. He's no longer with us. He passed 2 years ago, but I used to work in a estate agency, and I went to go like take this guy's house property on, and met him for the first time, struck a conversation. From then, we used to meet every 2 weeks. He was a retired teacher, but he was also a believer as well. So we would meet and we would have Indian and talk, and just stuff that you would do with a father that I didn't have, or have never had. And I mean, I've had a stepfather, like I've got a stepfather now, like, and he tries. But the crucial years, there was the pivotal ones, that he there wasn't. It was only these mentors and like my basketball coach that I had there. And I've had other coaches as well from basketball because I played for different teams, and they all seem to play some sort of fatherly role as well as just being your coach. Chris Owens, rest in peace. He really helped me because even the path I'm on now, career-wise, he's helped me. The path I'm on with my relationship, like at the crucial points, he was there. And there was never a time where I would meet up with him and leave without him praying for me, like never, like no matter how much Chris, I need to go because I did.
No, that's real.
You can't leave. Like we're gonna pray, and I didn't feel like he was forcing me. But it was like, and then one day the deepest thing was I got onto the teacher training course, and even before I got my TA job, he was there because I was working in an estate agency. He helped me pattern up my CV. Got my TA job, then got an unqualified teaching position at that school, then got onto the teacher's training course, and then he just said one day, I'm proud of you, and I literally was holding, like the tears was just so much because I haven't heard that from a man, like that has an impact or an impressionable role in my life. And when he said it, it was just like, wow, like it just too much to sort of hold in. Like I tried not to let him know I was crying, but so those are the people I've had. So my basketball coach, Mr. ABM, and Chris Owens, and my pastor now, like someone he's doing bits right now in my life in terms of shaping me as a husband, as a man, and as a businessman as well.
No, that's what you need. You need that, man.
What about yourself? I go to Worship Tabernacle in Archway. Check it out if you're looking for a church. You live in North London. Worship Tabernacle Archway.
Jeez, that's it. Promote the kingdom of God.
Yeah, trust me. But what about yourself?
For me, like, guess my first role model would probably be my father, and my dad.
Nice.
I think with my dad, I've learned things that I admired, things that I'm like, you know what, that's what I want to do when I'm married or in that situation. He's also shown me things where I'm like, you know what, I would have done it differently, or things that I wouldn't do at all. So obviously he's a man, women are flawed, no one's perfect, everyone has their own flaws. But I think just seeing him being there, and I think for me, I developed a newfound respect for my dad when my mum became ill. So she had an issue with her leg and it got really, really bad. So my dad became the sole breadwinner. So literally my mum gone from being independent, working, she had a good job, blah, 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 to then relying on my dad solely. So at the time, I remember my dad actually went to study now, went to uni. So before he was just doing like a normal manual labour job. And when my mum got ill, he was like, you know what, I need to go to uni, I need to step up for the family. And to see him do that, I was like, wow, that's a man. Because obviously he could have just been like, you know what, rely on benefits, or you see people do it all the time. Like just rely on benefits, whatsoever. But he actually went, grafted, done his IT engineering degree, blah blah blah. Then got a good job for the NHS. I was like, you know what, all right. Salute. With my dad, my dad's a man of few words, so it was more actions. Speak a thousand words to speak. But I found as I grew up, got a lot older, me and my dad would start to have conversations and you share certain things, insights about as to why he is the way he is. So I learned that his dad passed when he was young, so he was almost in a way he didn't know how to perhaps show love or show affection, and I was like, kind of makes sense, but. Then even when I proposed to my missus, it was like seeing my dad cry. I'm like, bro, I never seen my dad cry before. I was like, that's mad. I'm like, bro, this man must be really proud. And just hearing other little things that my mum would tell me. And I was like, you know what, have a deep found respect for my father. And obviously mentors as well has helped a lot. Even myself trying to get into the pharmaceutical industry, I've met people that have given me advice and tips that have sat down with me and said, you know what, this is what you need to do, this is what you need to work on, you know what, this is who you need to email, this is who you need to get in contact with. Things like that has helped mold and shape who I am today. And I believe in that old saying that it takes a village to raise a child. Yeah. And I definitely believe I'm a product of that village that's been raised, you know, to be the man that I am today. I think from what I've done now, people that have helped shape and mold me now, I'm trying to help people as well, trying to get into, like, say, pharmaceutical industry. Like, that's what I asked you when we spoke off camera about what are you doing trying to get young black men into teaching. Because I feel like once you've been equipped with certain skills and we've been taught how to do certain things, like, okay, who can I open the door to bring through? Definitely. You know, that's one thing I stand by. And I feel like, as you said, we already are the minority, and there's already less of us in every sector, but it's like, let's see who we can help get through that have just as good qualifications as us. So I'll definitely say I'll see my dad, people that I've met along the way, even people that I was in school with that were older than me. So I've got a guy, he's a friend, my classmate was a mentor as well. So my friend Kelvin, Dapper, the guy, just amazing. Literally, like, you really naughty in school, like really naughty, like proper one of the man them. Then switched it up. He became a dentist. Well, not just became a dentist now. Obviously, he's got his own practice and whatever, and all that stuff. Just doing big things. That is big. And just sitting down, every time I go down, sit down and talk to him, it's just insight. I'm just like, wow. One of my other friends, who's, again, he was older than me, years above me in school, but built up a friendship as well, called Leslie, just doing big things in Sierra Leone in the government sector. So it's just being around people like that, just, you know, that can uplift you, that can encourage you, that can pray for you. You know, it's something that, you know, you don't lose sight of or take for granted. So I would say that.
So can you tell me about your family dynamics growing up? What does your ideal family structure look like in the future?
Kind of touched upon it the last question, but I guess similar to what I was saying before, and I'm going to bring my sociology element into this. So the whole nuclear family. So with that, obviously, my mum, my dad, my sister, that's the dynamic in a nutshell. So my dad was predominantly the breadwinner, but however, my mum did obviously earn as well. And I guess with that, it's just growing up, just knowing you got your mum and dad, even though growing up, I don't think I appreciated it enough at the time. Even though I know a lot of my friends, like, from single parent families, always be like, oh, like, don't you feel lucky that you got a mum and dad? And I was like, it's what it is. But I guess if you haven't grown up not knowing that, you don't appreciate it as much, if that makes sense. I think only growing up now and having my own wife and having my own baby girl, I can actually understand that. Wow, the importance. Thank you so much. Just, you know, the importance of actually having that male figure. And I do feel seen with my male friends who had an absentee father, seeing the importance of having that male figure in your life. I just feel people may disagree with me, but I feel like there's certain things that only a man could teach a man, if that makes sense. Yeah. And I feel even if you're perhaps not with your partner and you have a child, as a man, I feel you should do everything you can to be in, especially with a son. Even if you've got a daughter, don't go wrong, be in your daughter's life, so, but do your utmost to do everything you can for your son and more to teach him certain things, because not everything your mom's gonna be able to teach you. That's this point. Like, people may disagree, say, "Oh, a woman can do just as much as a man," but I just don't believe it. And I see it with my friends who say, "Oh, my dad was around, maybe things might have been different," or X, Y, Z. You know. But over to you, really, about your dynamics.
So mine would be the complete opposite and pretty much similar to your friends who grew up in a single parent home. So it's
I guess for you, it was a bit. Yours was different though.
Yeah. So I grew up at first with my mum and my dad, but my dad was he was a womanizer. So hence why my older sister's from another mother, and then I've got my younger brother, but then I have a younger brother that's the same age as my younger brother. So that you can connect the dots. So my mum raised me and my brother pretty much by herself and with the help of God and several other mothers, because it's never, like you said, it takes a village to raise a child. So several other mothers played a role. My mum comes from a family where it's 8 children, big family, and 7 of them, are girls. Are women,
so
sorry,
it's
should
funny,
I say.
my dad's the opposite. So my dad's got 9 siblings, so it's 8 brothers and 1 sister. So
wow.
The only thing
well protected though.
Unfortunately, she passed away.
Oh, sorry.
But that's when I was in secondary school anyway. But majority of my dad's siblings are in Sierra Leone, and whereas one of my uncles is over here. But there you go.
Yeah. So that motherly upbringing has been very central to why I do a lot of the things I do and why I'm striving for success. And have obtained success in certain areas. I think the most important thing about the family dynamic that I've had is that that togetherness, even though it's just us 3. Although I want a bigger family than definitely just 3, and I want that nuclear family.
I'm the same. I already said I want that 5-a-side.
I said 5, 6.
I want 5.
I find it so annoying when men say how many.
Because we're not the ones that are pushing out.
No, I know that. You know what it is. What I want and what I get are 2 different things. But in an ideal scenario, I want 5 with my Q7. It's what it is. You know. But again, I'm not going to force.
They're not going to fit in the You
can fit 5.
You can fit 5 in a Q7. I've done my research.
Wow.
Perfect.
That
is actually.
And 2 of you at the front.
Yeah.
Plus 5 children.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Hey.
And they all got like their things that they're watching.
It's been done before. It can be done again.
So,
you know.
And your wife is okay with this?
Do you know what? So with my missus, she was like, obviously when she gave birth, she was like, you know what? Even though it's painful, once the baby comes out, joy comes straight away instantly. And I even witnessed it, seeing her being in pain. Like, baby comes out crying, your heart just melts.
Did you cry with your daughter?
I was too busy. Literally, everything was going too fast, so I didn't have time to cry.
Did you stay there and witness?
Yeah, of course, I had to.
Nice.
I was in Luton when Mrs. went into labour. I had to literally, I was in a training course and I had to leave straight away. But that's what you do. I didn't have time to cry. There was no time. It was.
I think it's probably too much.
I'm gonna promote our YouTube channel, Team Swedgewell. I'm gonna bring out our labour story, and literally, you understand why I said there was not enough time to even have emotions. Yes, quickly like that. But it was an amazing thing. Don't get me wrong. It was very emotional, but there was no time to cry. I had to be on point, literally.
So you've got 1 down and 4 more to come, hopefully.
By the grace of God.
You need to hurry up then, because you don't want. If you want
she's only 2 months. Okay. And I know people that are having children at the age of 40. Not that I only want to have a child come the age of 40. But I'm speaking of ideal scenario, ideal situation. I'll be able to have one after the other. But where I draw inspiration from and encouragement is from my mother-in-law. She had her first child at 30, and she had 4.
Oh wow!
So she had 4 by 35.
Wow! So just got it out of the way at a certain time period.
Just draw them out.
Yeah, I think with.
But you say that. Have your first one. Have you? Sorry, I assume. Have you got children?
No.
Have your first child, and then you'll see.
Okay, so I've got one at the moment. I've got a son, and
son?
He's 6 years old.
Awesome.
And amazing experience, and it's just being able to just be a father, which I never had. It's it means so much to me, and I understand. So some men didn't have a father, so they're like, I don't know how to, really be a dad.
But it's not.
I don't really hear that excuse, to be honest.
Do you know what it is? Honestly, I don't think there's no manuscript to how to be a dad.
No.
I just feel you learn on the job.
Pretty much.
As long as you know that's your seed, that's what you've created, that's your child, and you love them with all your heart, and you don't want to see them fail or anything happen. You're going to do everything, like you said, preserve, protect, provide.
Yeah.
The 3 Ps. That's what you're going to do for your child.
Yeah.
Innately. For me, even once I knew, my missus told me the good news, she was going to be pregnant. In my head, I'm thinking, okay, obviously, say man do not need to understand it. But I'm like, I would cry out to God, God, listen, I need a new job, or I need a pay rise, or I need a promotion. And I got my promotion and I got my new job. So it was just like, I already knew like this is gonna be a situation. I want to make sure I'm the provider. And I think just as a man, you want to provide, you want to preserve, you want to protect, and you just do it.
Yep.
You know, so when people give excuses, I'm like, I'm not hearing you.
Yeah.
I'm
just not. So like, for me, I think 3 more would be nice. Family of 4. I think important things like eating at the dinner table together as a family is something that I envision in my future family, and we do it now. More recently, where we sit at the table, and I love sitting at the dinner table because never had it when I was growing up. It's something I always wanted. But my mum would, she was amazing. She would do things like set up the small table in our small poxy council flat, and put out cutlery and teach us how to use it and stuff. Which
and that's those things that are very imperative, because you go out, go into the work field or whatever, and you're out of people and you don't know where to start. You start from the inside, you start from the outside. Little things like that. You know,
and
dinner
etiquette is a big
thing.
So I definitely dinner at like 6 o'clock every evening, whether you're coming from school, work, whatever it is. We have our set dinner time.
I love that.
And at that dinner time, there's no phones on the table. I'm not accepting no calls.
That's how it's meant
if you come to knock on my door and you didn't tell me that you were coming and I didn't expect you, we're not hosting you, sorry, you'll be standing outside.
I don't understand that. Not in my marital home. Don't knock.
Yeah,
you better book an appointment to come to my house. No.
Because it's also me modelling to my children that you need that time, that separation for your family, for yourself.
And you know what's so funny? Even it's kind of a bit off topic, but I remember something my dad used to do all the time, and it used to bug me, but I appreciate it now. My dad was very regimented in the sense whereby if you see him, it's good morning, good afternoon, good evening. And I was like, why are you being so like stringent? But now when I see my nieces and nephews and like, hi uncle, I'm like, pardon? Are we the same age? Like, good morning uncle, good afternoon uncle. And it teaches you that when I go into work environment, it's like when I see people like, oh, good afternoon, how are you? Good morning, how are you?
So it just comes natural.
It comes natural, and I thought it set me in a good standing. You know, but, What was the most difficult period of your life, and how did you get through it?